guitar, and that's the bell right there. That means that it's office hours. New time, new time. Remember, we moved it from Tuesday to Monday because some guy wants to be a high school principal. Josh Tovar, principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, ISD, Garland, USA, bringing to you real life events, real scenarios. And look at all this knowledge right here. Look at all this knowledge from all over the United States to see what would you do in this scenario, because it's easy to Monday day quarterback, but it's not happening there because it's actual life events. So if you are in Hawaii, if you are in Alaska, if you are in Maine, or you're in Florida, or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you. What would you do if you walked in these shoes? What do you think, Dean Packard?
I think I am excited about office hours once again, because you know what, Josh? We never know what you're going to throw at us. And I think tonight's going to be another good night. Hey, welcome, everybody. Welcome to the table. This is a great opportunity for us to come together and solve real life problems. My name is Dean Packard, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and it's really great to have you all with us tonight. Right back at you, Josh. Let's get it rocking.
All right. Before we further ado, let's do a quick intro. Let us know your name. Let us know what position you hold and what state you're coming from. Trevor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Trevor Williams. I'm an assistant principal in Spring ISD in Spring, Texas.
Awesome. Thank you. Kamrika.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kamrika Ari Turner. I'm currently an associate director for the Association for Washington School Principals and a recovering assistant principal at the high school level.
Doc Lewis.
I'm Christy Lewis, Port Arthur Independent School District, Thomas Jefferson Middle School in Port Arthur, Texas.
Love it. Jeff.
My name is Jeff Parks. I am in my 13th year as principal up in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. I am 12 years at the Parker, and this is my first year as principal at the McCarthy Middle School.
Oh, there we go. Didn't know that. Well, welcome, everybody. But before we get into that scenario, quick questions. Kamrika, who is scarier, Chucky or Freddy Krueger?
Oh, Chucky. I just seen someone walking down the street with a Chucky doll yesterday. It was too much.
Dean Packard.
Freddy Krueger, baby.
Jeff Parks.
Freddie.
Trevor.
I would say Freddy because he's interrupting my sleep.
Doc Lewis.
Definitely Freddy Krueger.
The answer is Freddy Krueger. You guys got it right. Exactly. Freddy Krueger. All right. Question number 2. Which monster is more devastating, Godzilla or King Kong? Dean Packard.
King Kong.
Trevor.
Godzilla.
Doc Lewis.
I'm going to go with Godzilla on this one.
Kamrika.
I'm going to have to also go with Godzilla.
Jeff.
Yep, ditto. Godzilla. Terrifying.
Godzilla's the way. That's the only one. That is the only destroyer. And everyone loves them. All right, last question. What has been your most favorite Halloween costume you've worn ever? Dean Packard.
The Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz.
When did you wear that?
Where did I wear that?
When?
It was at a Halloween class thing in the middle school.
Kamrika?
I would have to say Catgirl because my mom also dressed up as Catwoman, and that was elementary school.
Oh, Jeff Parks.
Mr. Clean. It was a no-brainer and a huge hit.
Doc Lewis.
I would say Little Miss Piggy when I was in elementary school.
Oh, Lord. Trevor.
Thing 1 and Thing 2, and it was about 3 years ago, and I had to wear the little blue bob.
Really? And mine was dressing up like the Hulk with my 4-year-old. It was awesome. All right, America. Here goes the scenario. Real world events. I'm blind and I don't have my glasses on, so I've got to increase the size here. Your campus is located next to a water irrigation ditch that is controlled by one of many local or government organizations. These organizations hardly clear the vegetation that grows in the ditch that runs for miles. Weeds collect that affect your athletes and those with asthma. You ask for your district grounds crew to clear out the weeds and vegetation by the stadium, yet they tell you they can't because it's not on district land. You make some calls, and the water district supports you and clears all the weeds. You feel good and happy that this eyesore is gone. A few days later, you get called into the interim principal's office who questions you about the cleaning. You explain the steps that you took, then he hands you a written reprimand for not following the chain of command. What do you do, Trevor?
All right. So first thing I would do is I would, take or accept the reprimand and ask for an opportunity to follow up with the principal. What I've learned in this line of work is that sometimes you just have to take an opportunity to process things and not respond in the moment or in the emotion. So just ask for an opportunity to kind of just process it and follow up. And following up, I would first just express my intentions for steering from the chain of command. Maybe it was a opportunity to step in and show my leadership abilities, or maybe just to step in and to help maybe the principal out with a smaller task as they are bogged down with so many things. But really just kind of express my intentions, just to make the campus a beautiful place, a place for kids, and just anchor my decision in doing what's best for kids.
Thank you, Trevor. Jeff Parks.
I like a lot of the things that Trevor had to say. So regarding, you can always fall back on the fact that you did it for the students. So as you mentioned, Josh, in the scenario that the student athletes were having trouble with asthma and things like that. So for me, that is something you can always lean on. It wasn't that you just didn't like the look of it. It wasn't just an eyesore. It was about the kids, their ability to compete, their ability to stay healthy. And that is a huge part of our responsibility. So I agree. I would take it and ask for the opportunity to follow up. I'd probably reach out to some other folks who helped me along the way, maybe the water department, and even make sure the superintendent was aware of what was happening and just kind of really explain, here's what I did. Here's the dates I did it. I wasn't getting the support I needed. So, I got resourceful. And I think that says a lot about somebody's potential leadership as well.
Beautiful, sir. Kamrika.
I agree with what was said, but I would just add, I would document. So I'd follow up asking for a meeting like Trevor said. And then I also would follow up with an email with the documentation of whatever I had in regards to the process and steps that I took, and then provide a rebuttal to the reprimand if I felt that the reprimand potentially, was not in alignment with my actions, just to show, my leadership strengths. And you said interim. So I'm also assuming that, I don't know if that person has been in that building, and maybe I'm a more experienced AP and I've kind of went through the process within the district. And so I would also ask, like, for clarity, as we move forward together, what are the processes and steps for the chain of command in situations like this, if I was following a practice that I had done before? But yeah, I think that's all I would add to what was said.
Doc Lewis.
The scenario really hits home here, being in Southeast Texas, because of course we experienced flooding. I actually lived through Harvey, Tropical Storm Harvey. And so the high water rescues and all those things are a big deal. So it's kind of hard for me to look at the scenario independently, but looking at the scenario independently, I would definitely take all those things that the others have already said into consideration, and of course making certain to rebuttal on that actual written reprimand. And again, taking into consideration that is an interim principal position. So again, following protocol is definitely imperative on a campus, because I do like to be notified when someone calls off of my campus for any reason. However, depending on the situation and the urgency thereof, I would talk to that individual and, ask for that meeting, have those critical conversations, and make certain to always follow up and follow through, and make certain that the other powers that be, as far as administrative, executive administration or central admin, are aware as well.
Dean Packard.
I learned a long time ago, don't touch anything growing on the campus of a school. Anything. That means nothing whatsoever. More importantly, I guess my mind goes back to, where was the pre-planning for all of this? Why wasn't there some sort of documentation or roadmap made of why you were going to do what you're going to do? I get the fact that the kids were complaining and there were issues in that capacity, but we have wetlands up here on our campuses. And I know my last campus I did, and the weeds were growing like mad there. You just can't touch anything in that capacity. Not even your facilities people can. So I would circle back and just make sure if I got a letter of reprimand for something I did in that regard, I would handle it in a way that, I'm going to be reflective with this, but if I'm trying to act in the best interest of kids, that's great. But I tell you right now, in my career, right now, I wouldn't be touching anything without some sort of map in place. Just can't get away with it. Approvals from all parties.
So let me add a little bit to that scenario that happened. You come across, for lack of a better way of connecting this, the interim did not want to give that to you. He comes across letting you know that they have to give it to you. So it's coming from somewhere else. Trevor.
So I think for me, I would request maybe a sit-down meeting with whoever the reprimand came from, or the directive that was given to the interim, to really fully get an understanding of why this was not seen as a good deed. I would explain the process of why I took this initiative that I did. A lot of our schools serve as community centers. So with, a school being in the community or it's been a community center, we want to beautify it. We want people to take pride in a place that they learn, the place that they're playing sports and things of that nature. So it would be really important for me to understand why I'm receiving a reprimand for this. And then again, for them to really understand my intentions.
Thank you. Kamrika?
So just so I understand, you're asking, they did not want to give me this situation. Is that correct? Okay, so I would really want to have a conversation, like Trevor said, to find out how we're going to work together moving forward. I think it's always important in a tough situation where maybe you're not in alignment on some things, or that person is fighting for the principal job and maybe they think that you're fighting for that principal job. Like, how can we best work together and keep it student-centered? And then what transparency can we have so we can avoid any other pitfalls moving forward? Like I said, for students and for the school community.
Thank you. Dr. Lewis?
With that, I'm a very direct person. Even as an assistant principal, I was very direct. So if that interim principal disclosed that information to me that they were not the person that wanted to give the reprimand, I would then ask for that meeting with them along with whomever told them to give the reprimand, because I like to address things head on. I don't want the middleman involved. And again, protocol, 5-1 protocol chain of command is very important on a school campus, because like here, we do not man the ditches. The drainage district man the ditches. So there will be a county call as well as a city, the city getting involved. But, it's just different strokes for different areas. But I would definitely like to sit down and speak with them. And I would accept the reprimand because I would know that I did breach protocol, and that is actually a part of our employee handbook with following chain of command. So you do have to let the appropriate personnel know what's going on, So, I would have to take the write-up, but I would also explain the steps as to why I took the steps that I did, and make certain that all parties are informed moving forward.
Dean Packard?
I guess you'd have to take the write-up as it comes, but I love the idea of making sure your retort is added to it and your steps and sequentially why you acted the way you did. I'm going to circle back to saying, hey, transparency is everything from A to Z in everything that we do. The more upfront we are with everything we do and involve all stakeholders and make sure we check every box, the least amount of times we're going to be in situations like this. So,
Jeff Parks.
So I was thinking, in a similar vein to what Dr. Lewis was saying, in that if we had I would request a meeting with the interim principal as well as the district leadership or whoever it was that was, forcing that person to issue the reprimand. It also makes me question the interim principal a bit, because if that was the case, to me, some of this is, you need to be a soldier, right? And if you don't agree with something that you're doing, you can't go in front of people and say, well, I don't want to do this, but they're making me do this, because right there, you're demolishing all of your credibility. So if that was the case, I should not know that. And then I would, have reservations about anything I was going to share or go to that person for moving forward as well.
All right. In closing thoughts.
I want to just say real quick.
Go ahead.
Just one last thing that I want to add is that what I've realized in just doing the work is that it sometimes it's not always popular to make the best decision. And so like Dr. Lewis said, sometimes you have to take those write-ups if that means what's best for kids. So with that comes along with the work that we do every day in education.
Exactly. Hey, Team KV, thank you for being here. Teachers Under Fire. If you guys don't follow him, make sure you follow him. A new change to office hours, 30 to 40 seconds. All these awesome leaders are going to give advice to their first-year teacher, either to an assistant principal or to a first-year principal. Dean Packard, choose one of the three.
I'll do a first-year teacher, and this is what I'm going to say right out of the gate. Slow down. Enjoy the opportunity to cultivate relationships with your students. Your students' relationships, or the relationships you have with your students, will drive how much they learn from you. Don't ever forget that. The content will come when the students believe in you. But try to enjoy the opportunity to be with your kids, because that's everything in this business. It truly is. Find your things to celebrate and do it often.
Love it. Kamrika.
Yeah, I'll have to repeat. Listen. I'm talking to my assistant principals first year, and make sure you follow up and circle back. Even if you don't have the answer, make sure you communicate, hey, I'm still working to figure out what's going on. I want to make sure I haven't forgotten about you, but make sure you're listening more than you're trying to solve problems, and make sure you stay present so that you can really build some relationships, because you're going to need that capital relationship later on.
Awesome. Jeff Parks.
I would speak to the first-year principals. My advice would be to make sure that you are doing something deliberate and predictable to keep in touch with kids, whether it's a student leadership group, run an after-school activity. You have to be connected with kids daily, weekly, beyond the fist bumps in the hallway. That is not going to cut it. You're going to miss it too much. So do something productive and predictable that you will be with kids weekly, at least.
Trevor.
So Dean Packard actually took mine, so I'm going to switch it up. Mine will be to first-year principals, assistant principals. I would say that remember that before educators, we're humans, so take time to build relationships with your people, whether that's checking in on their weekend, birthdays, anniversary, things of that nature. People will do the work if they feel like they can trust you and they feel like they have a relationship with you.
Love it. Doc.
I would say be intentional with your practices, and also stand for what is right, even if you're standing alone.
Who's that for, Dr. Lewis?
That will be for all educators, principals, assistant principals, and teachers.
And I would just like to say, hey, first year principal, don't talk about your predecessor ever. They hired you. Don't bring up somebody else in the past, because the superintendent gave you those big set of keys, threw them on the desk and said, you're the guy, you're the gal. Don't bring up the past. That's why I hired you. So don't bring anything up. And that is it right there, Dean Packard. Coming this Sunday, our flagship show, Mr. Leonard Dixon, 7 p.m. Eastern, the flagship show. And next Wednesday, the Red Zone shifted from Thursday to Wednesday. Women in Leadership Part 2. Women in Leadership Part 2 this coming Wednesday. Leonard Dixon, and the following Sunday, Jorge Valenzuela joining us on the flagship show. What do you think about that, Dean Packard?
I think that we, once again, filled our cup administratively, talked about an issue and worked through it. And I'll say this: problem solving, slow and steady. Look at the sequential steps, dot your I's, cross your T's. And remember, we're all human, as we said earlier many times here. We just want to make sure we treat people with respect and follow through with everything that we do. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Any closing thoughts, Josh?
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Don't forget, change the schedules, Mondays and Wednesdays. Now Mondays, and we'll be calling everybody on the call here. Thank you very much. Let's go home, Dean Packard.
Let's go, guys. Everybody out there, let me get this cranked up. Remember, everything we do is for kids. Don't ever forget that. You guys have a great week. Thanks for joining us tonight. And you kids out there, Be good to your teachers because they are trying to help you become better.